Hi, here we go then. The second podcast of the day. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. Let me ask you a question. Are we turning into North Korea, as Nigel Farage said today at the US Congress? Is Keir Starmer killing free speech after the arrest and putting in a cell for the best part of 20 hours of Graham Linehan, the man who wrote Father Ted? Is the Online Safety Act about Starmer taking more control? Now we hear about digital ID cards as well. Is the man a control freak, but he can't control his own party? He's got a tax fiddler, Angela Rayner, as a deputy. We talked about that in the program earlier. You're still talking about it. So if you want to comment on that, feel free. I think these kind of things are linked. Then we've got Rachel Reeves. She wants to tax you out of existence. Does he need the control? And is it all post-COVID that he thinks he can control the British public? Nigel Farage went to Congress in Washington, D.C. today. It reminded me of when George Galloway went to America. Galloway wiped the floor with them, and I've got the feeling Farage did that with them today. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in what he was talking about the arrest of the Father Ted creator for 3 tweets. That was 2. 3. Oh, good evening, by the way. 3 tweets, which evidently were written whilst Graham was in the States. He's Irish. He's got an Irish passport. He flies back in to Heathrow, and 5 armed, heavily tooled up police officers. The only excuse there is, well, maybe it's because they're airport policemen. I don't know. They arrested him, took him to a separate room, and told him he was being arrested for 3 tweets. Tweets? Hurty words. Have they not seen what's happening outside the migrant hotels? Have they not heard of the rapes and sexual offences some of these people are alleged to have done? And they want to arrest a man who, in my humble opinion, is one of the funniest script writers ever, because he's got anti-trans views. He doesn't believe in the whole trans thing, that they should share spaces. He doesn't. Surely in a free society, he should have a right to that. But in the lovey-dum world of show business, he's been cancelled. He's been ostracised. So even though he's one of the greatest writers, I put him up there with people like John Cleese, Prunella Scales, who wrote that with him, Fawlty Towers, Monty Python. I'd put him up there with, legends like the writers like Eddie Braben, who wrote Morecambe and Wise. That's how good he is. Father Ted was groundbreaking. It was loved by everyone. I know little Irish ladies who loved it. They didn't mind that it was rude. That was part of the crack. It also made some of our people massive stars. He is a genius. And if they can clamp down on his free speech, can't they clamp down on yours next? And this is what Farage said today in Congress. He said, if an Irishman, somebody with an Irish passport who writes some social media posts whilst he's in the United States of America, can be arrested by the British police, then so could you. And that stopped them in their tracks, because this debate today is about things like the Online Safety Act. How do we keep kids safe on the internet? All of which I want to happen. But the Online Safety Act is actually about clamping down on you, so that programs like this, where I express my views, that'll be the next thing. They've already started it. I think post-COVID, Starmer saw what was going on, and I think most of the politicians did. They've realised they've lost control, because nowadays you don't need the mainstream, lamestream newspapers or media to tell you what's going on. You can go on to X, especially now Elon Musk is in charge, and you can find your truth. They don't like it, because now the oligarchs, the big media monsters, are no longer in charge, crafting the agenda. And as I've told you a million times, the mainstream media is in bed with the politicians in all countries. That's why they don't like Farage. That's why they don't like Trump, because Trump said, I'm going to drain the swamp. So they ruined him in his first term in office. He's come back stronger and better, and he knows now what to do, how to play that game. But I think what Farage did today was really important. And what could Starmer do? He just took the mickey, or attempted to take the mickey, in the Commons. He said, I see the member for Clacton, which is obviously Farage's constituency, isn't here today, and made some crack about him being away. Hang on a minute. You're known as never hear care, and certainly two-tier care. It's quite clear that you can't criticise other people for that. So I'm asking tonight, is free speech in Britain under siege? Has it already gone? Are we becoming North Korea like Farage says? He says that's where we'll end up if we're not careful. He says there's a UK censorship crisis after the Father Ted creator, Graham, was arrested by five armed coppers at Heathrow over just 3 tweets, which he posted when he was in the United States of America. And he's an Irish citizen. What's it got to do with us? But you see, that's the other thing. The media and politics now is global. So they asked Farage to go and give evidence. He went and he did. And it was quite at times. Some of the Democrats were giving him right stick. It was good theatre. Watch it later if you've not seen it. But he also brought up this new, and I've been going on about this for, it must be 10 or 15 years, Islamophobia definition. Certain people in the Islamic community have been pushing this for ages, 20 odd years. We got rid of blasphemy laws so that you can say whatever you want about whichever religion you want. And so we should be able to. We've got a fine tradition of it. Everything from the Monty Python team through to people like Dave Allen. A religion that is robust and strong and confident can have the piss taken out of it. But there's a mood, and now they want to define what it is, Islamophobia. Now, Farage thinks, and I agree with him, this is a blasphemy law by the back door, but for just one religion. And it has to be stopped. It has to be stopped. You should be able to say whatever you want about that faith, the Roman Catholic faith, the Church of England, Jews, Jehovah's Witnesses, whatever. Because it's just one person's belief structure. And if they want to get offended by it, tough shit. See, that's where we've all gone wrong with all of this. It's just one person has to be offended. I know. I was one of the first people to be cancelled in Britain. You just have I had 57 people complained out of an audience of 1 million, and I lost my career, even though later I was proved to be completely correct. Kids were more in danger being left in residential children's homes. And it's because of this kind of censorship. I remember when I used to write plays and did stuff for telly, we used to, I'll swap you 3 Fs for 1 C and stuff like that. And then before that, there was the Lord Chamberlain. He would decide whether a play could be put on in a theatre because of taste and decency. What the fuck has it got to do with politicians? If you don't want to go and see it, don't go and see it. It's like Mary Whitehouse. Don't watch it. And like I've always said about Ofcom, we don't need Ofcom because you've got an off switch. But this government has come to power, looking at the experience of COVID, how they completely controlled us, and looking also at what happened post-Southport. He called everyone far-right thugs. He then asked for the toughest sentences to be laid down. So he didn't say it directly to the judges, but the judges did what he said. And then now we've got Mr. Bean, Judge Bean, and his decision about the migrant hotels. Are you seeing the connections? I think we're living in really, really scary times. And because these big tech companies, I'm not supporting them, by the way, some of the things they do are completely outrageous as well. But they're based in the States, but it's a worldwide phenomena. So you can't say, oh, you can't say that on X or Twitter because that's against our laws. It's just nonsense. And an online safety act, this idea where you got to register if you want to look at naked women or whatever it is ludicrous as well, because all the kids know how to get round it. If you want to make the kids safer, don't give them a mobile phone that gives them that kind of access. It seems straightforward to me. But how much longer are we going to allow our police to look stupid because they're policing tweets rather than the streets? I want them outside the migrant hotels. I want them on the bloody beach at Dover. I want them stopping this invasion. I don't want them arresting a brilliant comic writer. What about you? If you've got a comment to make, write it in the little comment box at the bottom and it will come through to me and it will fuel the debate. Are we moving to like living in North Korea? That's the question. And it isn't just Starmer. It started before him, of course. But it's something we need to consider. And then today, the Met Police Chief, Mark Rowley, he had a right bollocking last night off Keir Starmer for sending these 5 coppers to arrest a comic, right? And he ended up in hospital, Graham, because he got so stressed out by it. Just ludicrous, this. So Rowley, who's like as much use as a chocolate fireguard when it comes to a top copper, right? He's a tear a tissue, crush a grape, or rip the arm off a Action Man doll sort of copper, right? He's now demanding clarity because he says his officers are in the front line. They police a tweet, they go around, and then they're ridiculed by the papers and people on social media. Rightly so, in my opinion. Why would you go and arrest the Father Ted parade? It's just nonsense, isn't it? So he's now wanting clarity. And he's saying, do you want us to police the tweets or police the streets? He's also using it because, of course, the police are useless at the moment because they're all run by idiots. Not you, Mr. Rowley, of course. And then put into all this is the UK migrant crisis, and it is a crisis, and also all the protests about the hotels. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this shocking story, and it is shocking because at first you just think, oh, it's a comic, it doesn't matter. It does matter because also what he's saying isn't wrong. It's the judges in the Supreme Court now agree with Graham. The definition of a woman is somebody, it's biological. Now, we've got a man, I think he's a man, I don't know, Starmer, who didn't know. He couldn't answer that question before, just like he couldn't define what a working man is. He couldn't define males and females. He was asked several times by people like Nick Ferrari, and he couldn't do it. Now the court has told him a man is a man who's got a penis and a woman has a vagina. He's kind of beginning to get it. And he's leading our country. So Farage went today, and if you haven't seen it, you must watch it later. He basically gave evidence in Congress, and he was like George Galloway. He wiped the floor with them. And he also talked about blasphemy and about the Muslim religion and about, therefore, how that can lead to 2-tier censorship, 2-tier policing, and 2-tier justice. And I think he's right. He also talked about the protests and the way they're managed, whether it's the Palestinian stroke Hamas or whether it's people like Tommy Robinson next week. It's a vital discussion, this. And all today Starmer could do, admittedly, he had a few other things on his mind. All he could do today was slag off Farage, reform, and free speech, effectively. And then put this into the mix as well. Angela Rayner, the best you can say to her is she's thick. She made a thick mistake. She didn't check what her advisors said. Or alternatively, you could say she's part of a government that want to and are going to, in the next few weeks, certainly by the budget, up your taxes. A government that wanted to take away the winter fuel allowance from pensioners. A government that is wrecking farms left, right, and centre. From a government that wants to impose more taxes on you and me, the little people. But meanwhile, she's trying to, even if we're being nice about it, avoid paying her correct amount of stamp duty. They reckon she saved at least 40 grand. Well, she hasn't now. She's having to come to a deal with HM Revenue to pay it. Somebody tweeted me just a minute ago before I started saying, I wonder if they're going to be as nice to us when we make a mistake. Let's be clear. Angela Rayner should have been sacked today. He won't sack her, or he's trying not to sack her, because the moment she goes, questions will be asked about him. And I said earlier, if you won't have listened to it. I did a podcast about 2:00 this afternoon. Have a look at it after this. I said this in that one, that whilst he's sacking her, he should also sack Rachel Reeves, the woman who lied on her CV, the woman who can't add up, the woman who's doubled the deficit. Britain is up shit creek without a paddle, and all Starmer's thinking about is, can I stop people being nasty and saying horrible things about me? And you don't think there's a connection between him being the most unpopular PM and all these songs? Somebody just sent me a new song. There's a new song about Starmer. And it's very funny. It's, who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Starmer? I've only listened to the beginning of it. It sounded funny to me, but that must be getting to him. He wants to stop free speech. Let me tell you, they already control the mainstream, lamestream media. Why do you think you haven't heard about certain stories and certain top politicians? I'll name one of them, Nick Brown. Where's he gone? And also certain stories around Starmer. I'll tell you why. Because the mainstream, lamestream media is in the pocket of whichever party is in government. I nearly made a mistake there. Doesn't matter which party. They're all the same. They're the establishment. We're the plebs. But they don't like the fact that the plebs have now got power. We've now got Facebook. We've now got X. We've now got YouTube. And we've now got big mouths like me with other outlets. They can't cope with it. They can't cope with it because you can't control it. And I'm not saying it should be like the Wild West. I still don't think you should say anything that you don't know is true. I don't think you should libel people, defame people, slander people. Of course not. But too many of them are too cozy. I told you this story, and I'm going to tell you it again now. One Christmas, I got invited to go to Rupert Murdoch's party. It was in the Oxo Tower, that big posh restaurant in London over the Thames. As I came out of the lift, I bumped into Gordon. I'm doing a shortened version here. I bumped into Gordon Brown. I think he was the Prime Minister or Deputy or Chancellor, whatever at the time. But then as I looked across the room, when people say to you, there's only 200 people who run this country, I used to go, don't get wet. Well, that day, I realised it was probably correct. There was about 200, 300 people in the room, and they were the most powerful people in the country, allegedly. So they were the captains of industry. They were the new entrepreneurs. They were newspaper editors, even though it was a News International and there was all the other editors there. It was the politicians. It was the top businessmen. I won't name them now, but you know who I'm talking about. The people who run Britain all together. And right in the centre was Rupert Murdoch. I got on all right with Rupert Murdoch, to be honest with you. But it was the control. It was the power. That scared the living daylights out of me, and it should scare you. But now, and I forgot all the BBC knobs were there. That John Sopel and people, not that he's powerful, but idiots like him. Just like when I went to Trump's inauguration. There's Sopel there, yeah. There's that Isabel Oakshit, or whatever her name is, who now goes out with Richard Tice, talks so much about our country but lives in Dubai. Run that one past me. I had some bloke the other night. He makes videos about living in Britain, but he lives in Benidorm. Run this one past me again. What's the backstory to that? Anyway, so going back to this, these are the people who run Britain. And I'm sure it's no different now, apart from we've got this. And that's why when I say to you, please help, please donate a $5 or a $10. I'm saying it because, yes, I want to earn some money, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't actually think it's begging. But I also think it's important that voices like mine are being heard. And as I told you, the audience is beginning to grow, just as I knew it would. There's always a churn, then it begins to happen. So I want to thank you for that. And if you haven't donated yet, please just press that little $sign at the bottom of the YouTube video and donate a couple of quid, whatever you can afford. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. You'll get your name on the roll of honor, so to speak. But more importantly, you'll be enabling alternative voices to exist. And what I'm really trying to tell you is that's vital. Because I don't think we're becoming North Korea yet, but we're well on the road to it. And Starmer has to be stopped. The fact that he wouldn't sack her today is another clear sign. He's not on your side. Well, that's enough for me. Got comments? Let's get to them now, shall we? Thank you very much indeed for joining in. Mark Allen says, did Rachel Reeves give Rayner the financial advice? Yeah, maybe. That's funny. I like that, Mark. Thank you. On Facebook, Andy Borg says, Connie Booth. I think, John. Yeah, I was talking about Faulty Towers, who wrote it with Basil, with, what's his name? John Cleese. You're right. It was his girlfriend at the time, Connie Booth. You're right. Curse10 says on YouTube, arrested for 3 tweets, yet Rayner says her £45,000 tax evasion or avoidance was an innocent mistake. Will she get arrested? You got 2 hopes, mate. One of them's Bob and the other one is no hope. What? It is disgusting. She also said, and I think Starmer said it as well, that tax avoidance / evasion is a crime and should be treated like a crime. It's not like she's made a little mistake. £40,000. You couldn't make that. I'm sorry, you couldn't make that mistake. And if you did, you'd think, check that with somebody else. They're telling me this. And of course, she's got the violin out. She's been playing the I've got a son and he's very disabled. And don't get me wrong, I feel for her. But we've all got problems in life, haven't we? And relatives we've got to look after. Charlie Barton says, howdy, John. Howdy, folks. Howdy to you. Where we go next? There's always a pattern to what they're trying to suppress us from doing or saying anything. You're right. They've done that successfully with the migrant hotel crisis. They didn't want to tell you how many were in the hotels. It now comes out there's 32,000 of them. They didn't even tell you when your local hotel was going to be turned into one of these, which is why they've had this planning dilemma. They don't tell you. They just take the signs down and bust the people in. They don't tell you, like in Nuneaton, that you've got homes of multiple occupation, that in one street there's a guy who's alleged to have raped orally and vaginally a young girl, whilst another one who lived in another home of multiple occupation is alleged, and they've been in court, but it's not finished yet, so we've got to be careful what we say. He lived in another home of multiple occupation. You didn't know. And this all goes back to when I was on The Sun, when the paedophiles, when they started to try and get a thing going called Sarah's Law, where you would have a right to know if a filthy pedo bastard was living in your neighborhood. Yeah? And I remember Newsnight and all those people then looking down their snooty noses. That battle was lost. The migrant hotel battle was very similar. I think the BBC thought if we don't really talk about it, it'll go away. I think Starmer thought that. But look where they are now because of public pressure. Now we've got Yvette Cooper telling us she effectively wears Union Jack, or as she would call them, Union pants, and has got bunting all around her house and has got a tablecloth with the Union flag on it. I smell bullshit, but she's in that position. And Keir Starmer, oh, yeah, I've got a flag of St. George. Oh, yeah. Absolute twaddle. But they're having to say this stuff, and therefore they become even less authentic because their backs are against the wall. Nobody likes their back to be against the wall. So there is a pattern, Sharon, and they are trying to suppress it. And, of course, now they can't suppress the internet unless they get through this online security bill, which is what they're trying to do. And arresting Father Ted. He's not bloody English. The so-called offence was committed in America, where, because of their constitution, it's not an offence. This just shows you how stupid the whole thing is. Curse 10. He's put a tenner in the pot on YouTube. Thank you very much, my friend. He says, thanks to everyone taking risks speaking out against this vile government. Content creators, political commentators, campaigners, protesters, ordinary people online. Stay safe and take care. That's a brilliant note. Thank you. And thank you for the donation. And thank you for understanding and explaining to other people why it's important that we have these independent voices. They will try and close us down. They will. I'm surprised I haven't had the door knock already. What's that? 23 likes. Brilliant. 150, 160 something watching live on YouTube. That's really nice. Thank you. Has anyone been asked to justify why 5 cops were sent to arrest him yet, John? No, they haven't. Not that I've seen. Although Rowley, whatever his name is, he was obviously embarrassed. Craig also says they may have guidance to do it, but why 5? Well, I think it's fair to say, well, they're airport cops, so maybe that's why they were tooled up. But 5 of them. Have you seen Graham, the Father Ted? He couldn't, and no disrespect, but he couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding, to use a cliche. He's just a fat, jolly man. Not so jolly. His whole career has been ruined. He wrote in the thick of it as well, which was brilliant. He's a brilliantly talented writer. And like Father Ted, I don't know whether you agree with me, you can watch it over and over again. And sometimes you like watching it because you know which line's coming up. It's like Fawlty Towers. It's a bit like Billy Connolly's monologues. You don't mind that you've heard it before. It's the way he tells them, as Frank Carson would say. Hi, John. If I wanted to live in a socialist communist state, I'd move to one, says Dark Angel. Nice to have you back on board, Dark Angel. Nice talking to you. Afternoon again, John, says Gregory Galvin, because he was watching the earlier show. Thank you, Gregory. I am doing some extra shows at the moment just because I'm here on my own. I got a bit bored, to be honest. Raina and co were relentless, says Curse 10, hounding Boris to be sacked. Absolutely right. They were. Do young aspiring journos ever try to break into the MSM, or do they only have the option of GB News? No, I think the problem is most people would still like to work for the BBC or one of those sorts of companies, and the training you get is brilliant. But along with the training, you get the brainwashing, where all people trying to get in the country are refugees. None of them are economic migrants. Where our history, our culture, our traditions are dreadful. That's what happens at the BBC. You can't knock the pure training. But also, let me tell you something else as well. The BBC, because they used to control the radio, most people have been trained by the BBC. And commercial radio, I mean, I know there's a couple of exceptions now, but they didn't used to do speech radio. It was local radio in BBC. That's where people learned their craft. And sometimes you can tell that on certain new national stations on radio and telly, where they've got kids presenting. And I'm sorry, they haven't got the depth of experience to know how to twist a story and how to turn the story and how to make the story imaginative, or they just haven't got the historical knowledge. I heard a hysterical, I won't say which station it was, where this young lad who was the presenter, and they were talking about that maybe the Northern Ireland Agreement would stop because of the migrant crisis or whatever. And he said, well, South Ireland can't do anything. It'll be up to the people of Northern Ireland to decide. It's like, you obviously don't understand any Irish history whatsoever. And then they had an Irish guy on who put him right, but he wouldn't listen. It's my show. I know. I'm right. You're trying to talk over it. It was like, shut your effing gob, you little boy. Otherwise, I'm going to pull down your trousers and spank your ass. Listen to somebody who knows about this. And that's one of the problems. And that's what you learn. If you worked in local BBC, you did learn how to do that. And you did learn, not spank people's backs, although some of them did. Jimmy Savile never came across my desk. But you understand what I'm trying to say here? There's some radio stations at the moment, Gregory, who are using people who just haven't got the gravitas. That was the same day. There was a tragedy that day. What happened? Something happened. And that bad news makes great TV and great radio. I should know. I did 9/11 and did 7/7, etc., etc. It's unpalatable, but that's the truth. But you have to know how to do it. You have to have had experience. It was the shooting in America. And this young boy, and he is a boy, had no idea of how to handle it. Whereas there are other presenters who have got the experience, are proper journalists, people like Martin Daubney. Thank God he's back. He does a brilliant job. But I've gone off the track and just ruined my chance of ever getting a job again. Thank you, Greg Galvin, for stitching me up. Johnny Roberts, hi, John, correct me if I'm wrong here. This wretched government is trying to implicate ID cards to the British public. Yet we already have ID cards with the national insurance number. You're correct, Johnny. I used to be in favour of a national ID card. I thought, well, if you haven't done anything wrong, what have you got to hide? But I've changed my mind post-COVID. I haven't changed my mind completely on COVID, but on that particular aspect, I definitely have. I don't want to give this bunch of shit, whether it's this lot now or whether it's Femi's bunch or even if it was Farage's bunch. I don't want to give them all that information. That's why I'm still using cash. I don't want them to know what I'm spending on certain things. Nothing dodgy, but I want my privacy. And so I don't want ID cards. But they are going to try and push for it, saying it would be the best thing to do so then we'd know who's in the country. They just wouldn't have one. It's like saying, we're going to stop all working. Well, you can't. They just go to Deliveroo and get a bike. Say they're called Abdul Summit one day, Mohammed Summit else the other day, or Fred Smith the next day. You can't do it. That's why politicians don't live in the real world. What you need to do is stop them getting in the first place. And he went away, you know. I think Starmer's probably quite liked the fact he's had this Rayner distraction today. And he's also had Farage. Because we're not talking about the hotels, are we? Hula hoop. Surely Starmer knows what's going on. Of course he does. And then he says, Ofcom traitors. No, Ofcom are just incompetent liberal buffoons who think they've got a right to tell you what you can and cannot watch or do. You see, because this all goes back to the old Lord Chamberlain days. It all goes back to when people only had 2 channels or 1 channel. And so you could control it. Ofcom, we don't need it. It's finished. Jackie Ward says, hi, John. I'm still barred on YouTube. My free speech is already gone. Well, you're getting in touch with me, Jackie Good, on Facebook. I looked into this today. I can't understand why you are. If anybody knows, and also then Googled on it, how do you unblock somebody? And I couldn't understand it, Jackie. So the moment I can, I will. I've sent off a thing to their help centre saying a couple of people have been barred and I don't see why. And I've read what you wrote. There was nothing in that should have got you banned. So I apologise. Well, it's not my fundamental. Now I sound like Angela Rayner. It's not my fault. No, I don't know how that happened, Jackie. or whether it was my fat sausage fingers, because I did ban a couple of people last night who were just being pricks. But that's not you, Jackie. You're a top fan. Thank you. I do apologise. If anybody knows how she can solve that, let me know. Because I'm new to this. I'm not new to doing broadcasting, but I'm new to this this style, aren't I? I'm going to stop in a minute. So if you want to get your words in, you need to do it now. John, so many good things already said by the fellow viewers has been spot on. This is Mick Smith on YouTube. Us fellow civilian self-employed people will be treated differently, as already said. Let's claim Reynard's rule if found foul. I like that. That's quite clever. You're right, Mick. You're right. Yeah, you make a mistake on your tax and see whether you're going to get the Prime Minister supporting you or telling everyone you got a child who's poorly. It's the old thing, isn't it? One rule for them, another rule for us. All animals are equal. Some are more equal than others. All MPs are pigs with their snout. This is my saying. With their snouts in the trough, only raising their snouts to book another rent boy or to take another big fat freebie. It's true, isn't it? Maybe not. Maybe I'll be closed down. But I just want to finish off by going back to this thing and saying, when the creator of Father Ted can be arrested for tweets that he wrote in another country where it's not a crime, that's very like Orwell, isn't it? We're arresting you for this crime. Well, like, what's that? It doesn't exist. Oh, it does now. Oh, when did you make that up? Today. Yeah, but you're saying I did this a year ago. Tough. I mean, that already was beginning to happen before Elon Musk took over X, or Twitter as it was. You could get banned for something you said 3 years ago, which wasn't even technically wrong 3 or 4 years ago. Do you understand what I mean? Because culture changes, doesn't it? It's not like that now, thank God. He's much more of a free speech absolutist, isn't he? These are very worrying times, because when Father Ted gets arrested, who's next? Who next? And then they'll tell you the stories. I mean, I know this from when I got cancelled. But some of the press articles were a disgrace. They talked about, oh, he did this 15 years ago, yeah? Or they didn't say how long ago, but he did this. And so they paint you dreadfully because they've got to sell their tawdry crap newspaper the next day. And it's the same with the internet in a way. You make something sound better or catchier so you get the click. All those things. It's not very pleasant though, is it? And they don't look at things around. Oh, and they don't come back and say, oh, do you remember Jon Gaunt? He got cancelled for saying people who smoke should be able to foster and adopt, which is what I've said. And I called the council a Nazi and an ignorant pig. I did do that as well, yeah. I stand by both of those things as well. But no one comes back and said, but actually, he's bloody good, isn't he? And he was right, what he said about kids in care. It's just the way it is. Anyway, if you want to help me out, stop me having to sell the big issue, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, big issue, all you've got to do is donate some cash, press the little $sign, donate anything you fancy. Be really good if you could help me out. Thank you very much. Or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. When you go there, you can also buy a beer. So if you prefer to buy me a beer than a coffee, but their website address is www.buymeacoffee.com. Craig McKenzie says, I think we'll all be closed down, mate. I'm on my second sin bin. Laugh out loud. Yeah, well, that's where you do have to be careful, Craig. You do have to be careful. That's what I say to people on here. Don't ruin it by being too stupid with it. You know, just pull back a bit. It's a bit like these protests that are coming up. Don't go masked up. Don't give them what they want. Don't give them what they want. If Tommy's rally went off and there were thousands, hundreds of thousands of people there, millions, whatever, and not one bit of trouble, what could they criticise? That's the kind of thought process. But remember, they will, because they're criticising Farage today. And I think Farage has done something really, really important. He's gone to Washington, D.C., into the belly of the beast, and he's given them it. He's told them. He's told them straight that we don't want a blasphemy law just for Muslims. That you should be able to say whatever you want about any religion or any politician. That's like when I got cancelled. What I said about that politician, he'd have heard worse than that in the council chamber. He's a big boy. Allegedly. Anyway, that's me done. Jackie Ward sent me 3 love hearts. That's lovely, Jackie. Thank you very much indeed. If you hear that you have been banned for some reason on here, let me know and I'll look into it as well. I won't be able to do anything, but I'll have a look at it for you. Right, that's me done. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. Have a look or a listen or watch at the one I did earlier, which is all about Angela Rayner. I think you'll enjoy it. And then I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, 6 o'clock, 6:30, something like that. If I get inspired, I might want to do one during the day. But really, the dog needs a long walk. No one told me that either. No one told me that he had to go for his booster injection. So I felt he hasn't spoken to me all day. He just looked at me as if to say, "You bastard. You come here, promise me a good time." That's like my wife. And then you just take me down to the vets and you give me an injection. I was going to say a rude joke then. I decided not to. All right, then. Thank you very much indeed. Speak to you tomorrow. Have a great night. If you got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.